crowdfunding and how do you actually go about crowdfunding. Because we have amidst us actually an illustrious panel who've been there and literally done that. We have with us Sarthak Dasgupta, Yogesh Karikurve,
Hello.
Pawan Kumar. Just to give you a little bit of a background, Sarthak's a wonderful filmmaker who actually currently has a project that is being crowdfunded as we speak. Yogesh is basically a co-founder on a crowdfunding platform called Catapult. It also marks as one of the avant-garde platforms, so to speak, in India that looks at crowdfunding in a very different model. Pawan, the lesser said the better, because what he's basically done with his film is he's taken a film and he's proved to the whole world that crowdfunding can actually work. For those who don't know, he's actually directed the film called Lucia. Lucia has gone out to break box office records and has actually become one of the first films in India to successfully have been crowdfunded and released and seen a box office miracle. So welcome all of you.
Thank you.
And before I actually start the whole moderation, I would love for you guys to tell us a bit about your backgrounds, how it started, and where it's headed henceforth.
With you.
Pawan.
Hi, I'm Pawan. I'm from Bangalore, and Lucia is my second feature film as a director. Before that, I had written 2 films directed by another Kannada filmmaker called Yogaraj Bhatt. So Lucia started in 2011, end of 2011, when I started writing the script. The nature of the script was that it was a little off the safer scripts which the industry was trying, making about 150 films a year in Kannada alone. So it was very clear to me very soon that none of the producers will back it because of its nature. And then a lot of frustrated blogs and Facebook status messages helped me gather a following, and from there it started to becoming online proposal about let's make a film, let the crowd put in the money, and then it got crowdfunded. And then the film has on its own artistic journey gone to a different level, because back home in Bangalore everyone's really proud of the output, and in terms of crowdfunding it's really created a completely new way of producing films. So this is me in the last 2 years.
Sarthak.
Hi, I made this film called The Great Indian Butterfly. It got released in 2010, and thereafter I have been trying to make my next film. It's been difficult, but this year, right at the beginning of this year, I received the Sundance Global Filmmaker Award, which was given to me on the basis of my script called The Music Teacher. And fresh from Utah, when I came back to Bombay, and I started receiving a lot of congratulatory SMSs on WhatsApp from my. I also happen to be an engineer and MBA, so I have a huge MBA batchmate group on WhatsApp, and we keep talking to each other. So then this whole discussion of hey, you were right, and all those things started happening, and that's when I kind of had this quirk of an idea. I had written, half written something which was an ode to my MBA school days. So I just brought it up and said that hey, if I make this film, will you guys come and kind of part fund it? So the whole thing kind of went abuzz in WhatsApp. Yes, so much money from my side, so much money from my side. So that kind of got me. And then that's also the time when Yogesh, who happens to be also my engineering junior, came to me and said, Sarthak, that hey, we are launching this crowdfunding platform. Would you have something? So like for me, these 2 things suddenly came too close to one another. So I said, yes, I've been thinking of this particular idea called Cutthroat, which is an MBA school drama. Would you like it to put it on your platform? He said yes, and I also felt that it could be a possibility that it might really work, and it has worked. We started, we tried to raise not the entire amount that I need to make the film, but a small seed money of 10 lakhs, and it has got oversubscribed on Catapult, which is the platform. And so and in the process, I have also learned a few things which I had not planned or understood or had even imagined would happen. They are constantly happening, even certain things happen today. and it has been continuously happening. So it's just not about crowd funding. It's about engaging a crowd and sourcing things, which I'm sure Pawan will probably get back to. And I have also lots of questions to ask Pawan to learn from him, from his experience. So this is more or less my journey till here, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Sarthak. I'm very glad to be today on this illustrious panel, not just because we are a bunch of filmmakers, but also because we are a lot of non-filmmakers who are turned into filmmakers. So it's very motivational or aspirational for you guys, because even if you are a filmmaker or you're not a filmmaker, you still can be a very good filmmaker. Well, Sarthak and I, 20 years ago, we were twiddling thumbs in engineering college, and that's where we come a long way now. However, just to give you a brief background of mine, I'm again, as I said, engineer, MBA, belonging to the so-called elite class. However, moved on to a lot of corporate jobs, being the head of marketing for L'Oreal, then Zoom Television, Reliance Big Pictures, where I was heading international distribution for independent cinema. After that, last 4 years, I've been representing various independent films into the international market. So been to various film festivals and market across the world, almost 25, 30 by now. Also, I'm the only Indian who has been selected as a distributor for the Berlinale Talent Campus and given scholarship for the European Film Finance Forum of Yahweh. Having done that, I realized that most of the films that come to me, or rather almost all the films that come to me, don't have a chance or don't have a good chance in the international market, because the way they are treated in terms of a storyline, though the stories are great, they're awesome, the filmmakers are great, but because of certain lack of exposure, the films do not travel as much as they should or as much as they could. So I said, I need to be at a stage in the filmmaking process where I facilitate certain kinds of films which don't just get a domestic audience but also get an international audience. That's where my interest in film financing and production started, and from there I moved on. I met Satish about a couple of years ago, so we are contemplating starting this crowdfunding platform, which is across Europe, across US, there has been a dearth of money for film financing. Budgets have been cut with the CNCs of Europe, and budgets have been, US anyway didn't have a very good state program for financing. So coming from there, we were contemplating that India does not have state financing for films, so how do we traverse that gap? So we landed on this crowdfunding idea. However, Kickstarter and Indiegogo had already started in the US, but if you look at them from the Indian perspective or the Asian perspective, them as a business model for filmmakers is not suitable. So we had to adapt and adopt the model of crowdfunding for India, and that's where we coined the name Catapult. There is this, if you look at our logo, it says CATAPOOOLT. So we said, okay, two is for company and 3 is for crowd, so we need to have 3 O's in our logo as well. So we moved from there, and again, as Sarthak rightly pointed out, we were contacting a lot of people to explain to them, because this is a point in India which is very interesting, where people are talking about crowdfunding, but not many know what exactly crowdfunding is or how does it work. Some people think that, oh, we have to give away the rights of our films or share the rights of the films, we lose creativity. That's not correct. In fact, it's the reverse. You don't have to give rights, you don't have to lose creative control. And second thing is, contributors think that they get an equity stake and returns, which is not normally allowed by an Indian government online. So there are lots of these things which are misconceptions that we wanted to clear, and we did a lot of panel discussions across the country. So we've been trying to educate people also what crowdfunding exactly is and how we are different as Catapult. Also, one of the most important things about Catapult is that we call ourselves the most rewarding crowdfunding platform, because in normal circumstances, a contributor gets a reward from the project owner. So if you are contributing to the film and Pawan is the project owner, so he will give you a reward based on how much you contribute. However, on our platform, we said that Indians have this mentality, every time they pay even a 10 rupees to a beggar, they think that the beggar has to give them some kind of a good blessing, otherwise they feel that 10 rupees has gone waste. So we said, let's adapt it to the Indian model. So on our platform, if you contribute, then not just a project owner like Pawan or Sarthak would give you a reward. We as a platform also give you a reward, plus we give you loyalty points which can be redeemed later on. That's number one. And number two, more importantly, we said, why should we restrict our funding to just Indians in India? No, there are Indians across the world, there are Asians across the world who love Indian cinema and Indian filmmakers, Indian artists. So we have developed the platform in order to enable funding, not just from Indians in India or people from India, but people from anywhere across the world. They can pay money either in dollars or in rupees, depending on which country you come from. So that's how we have evolved the model. And by the way, Sarthak's film, Cutthroat, has become the highest crowd-funded film on any Indian platform till date. So he got 10 lakhs plus, about 10 lakhs, 10,000? Yeah, 10 lakhs, 10,000 in the span of...
Checks are still coming.
And the checks are still coming. One more thing is, Sanjay has clearly said that, it's not just about funding. It is also about gathering momentum. Imagine if you were to market your film after it is made, you would still incur a huge cost. And nowadays, cost, if your film is small, it is almost 100% the cost of production. So if you're making a film for 2 crores, you will definitely have to spend 2 crore plus for marketing and distributing the film. That gets significantly reduced if you're crowdfunding, because your film is known to the people and they are already latched onto you. So you better release the film on time, and that's something which even Pawan Kumar will adhere to, because people who funded his film were after him. When are you releasing the film? We want to watch it. So, I think in the span of just about 2 weeks, he made about 1.5 crores just in theatrical distribution, and on and above that, about 1 crore in satellite distribution. So a film which cost him ideally 51 plus about 25 lakhs, so about 75 lakhs in making, already garnered about 2.5 crores. But that doesn't mean that every film can get 50 lakhs, 100 lakhs. You need to have your capacity. Even if you look at 50,000 or 1 lakh, that's where your development costs can still come from. Sanjay, you want to?
Yeah. No, I just want to, so touching on what you said, crowdfunding technically is not just free money. It's not about getting money that is actually you can raise and it's free. There is an opportunity cost for every filmmaker for the platform. And Yogesh, my first question actually is to you. With regards to the platform, the reason for doing the platform is to have a business model around it. So if we just tell a bit about your business model, because where as a filmmaker, where we come from is the fact that if I'm raising X amount of money on a particular crowdfunding platform, and say I need 10 lakhs in the case of startup, I believe you take a certain amount of commission, which basically means the filmmaker doesn't then get the exact amount of money that you actually need. So how do you fit in the buffer? How does it work? What's the business model around it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a case study in that sense. Okay, Sarthak coming to me about 6 months ago, whatever, and saying that, listen, boss, this concept is very new. It's very difficult for a producer to jump into it because it does not have stars, and I want to do it the way I want to do it. In the sense, I want total creative control on my film. Yet, I want the people to know that this will be a great film because this is about the life of a student in a business school before and after the placement week. Simple. And that need not be just in an MBA school. It could be in a medical college, engineering college, or it could be in life. It's a rat race. So, but how do I convince a producer to buy into my film? Okay. The answer was crowdfunding, yes. But how do we go about it? Well, as a platform, we take 15% of the money we raise. And why I'm saying we is that it's not just you raising the money on our platform, which normally all the crowdfunding platforms do. We also help you strategize your marketing to how to raise the money. Because we understand that Indians in this phase are very new to crowdfunding and they need to understand the aspects of marketing to raise that money. So there will be let's put it like 3 concentric circles. The most inner circle would be people who are like your close friends and close relatives, okay? Who will say, well, I will pay the money because Sarthak is making the film. I don't even want to know what film it is right now. Then there will be another group of people who are your friends, who are your alumni from colleges, who are your relatives, or your father-in-law's, brother-in-laws, who are there. They're not your like so close to you, but they still have an emotional relation to you, maybe however further it is. So you approach them with the concept and tell them that you want to make the film. And that's where your second round of funding comes from. Now the third round is the most interesting round, where you need to actually market your film and actually market to those people who you think will be touched by the film. For example, in Sarthak's case, since it's an MBA film, we decided that we should go to most of the MBA schools. So we had a competition in Sydenham where 170 MBA colleges across the country, including the IIMs, participated, and out of which about 10 colleges were shortlisted after about a month. And they competed fiercely and 3 won. So the news spread across all the MBA colleges, the news spread across the alumni, because he has a strong alumni, plus the alumni of all these 170 colleges, and they started then putting in money, however small it is. Some paid 500, some even paid 50,000 to him, right? So this money would never have come to you if you would not have thought of crowdfunding. Because to even get 5 lakhs from any kind of a producer, please try it. Please try with a different idea. So first question that comes to you, I presume most of you are filmmakers, is that kaun sa star hai, kaun si heroine hai, kaun sa item number hai. These are the questions being asked. No one asks you the storyline. That comes later, right? So that's the first hurdle you are crossing when you are going on crowdfunding. Yes, there is a cost to pay, but that cost is being always utilized. Like I said, we take 15%, but that 15% is utilized in a lot of ways. One is the administrative cost, second thing is the marketing cost, and the third thing, as I mentioned to you, in addition to the reward that you will be giving as a filmmaker, we also give a reward to the person who is involved. So that is building up the community, which is very important, because crowdfunding platform, we believe, has 2 most important C's in it. One is community and the second one is credibility. As a credibility platform, we have advisors not from just India but also from other countries who are on board as advisors. So if we need some help from them, we are always in touch with them. And now we have also started webinars. In fact, the first webinar we did was with Pawan Kumar, where he addressed more than 100 people online as to what crowdfunding was about. But webinars will not just be on crowdfunding. It will be on domain-specific things also, because now we are planning to get some musicians to talk on the webinar. We are planning to get some documentary filmmakers to talk about documentary filmmaking, or some festival directors to talk about what is the criteria for getting into the festival. So we are doing this lot of activities in terms of marketing, not just us, but also building up the talent at the very grassroots level. As I said, our crowdfunding platform is for entertainment as a vertical as whole, which means like movies, music, and other performing arts, including book publishing and everything. And so we are planning to get experts from these fields. We already have advisors on board. And like I said, we are all there to help you strategize and support to get you that money, whether it is 50,000 or 5 lakhs.
Pawan, I want to come back to you now. I mean, that was a very business perspective, from a very business modeling perspective. You did the entire campaign almost by yourself. I'm sure you had help doing it, but there was no 15% to pay. There was no structure, so to speak, with regards to having a platform or having someone else carry out a certain amount of work for you. How difficult or easy is it to carry out a crowdfunding project by your own? One. Second, if you had to do it again, would you have rather gone with a platform who could have assisted this?
Okay. Mine was very guerrilla kind of filmmaking and guerrilla kind of fundraising. So there was no structure to it. In fact, he said 3 circles. He said first family, friends, and then the strangers. I went the other way around. I first went to strangers, and I didn't have any friends or even my family. Even my father didn't put a rupee in it. So it was the complete unknown 1,300 people who put in the money. Maybe 10 or 15 college friends who later read about the project. I don't know about the platform because I've never used it so far, but he listed out the advantages of it. I'll just say about our approach. Our approach was that you have to enjoy it yourself doing it. That's the most important thing. I mean, as much as you enjoy making the film, if you, from the heart, enjoy interacting with people, telling them about what you're doing, that's when the other person is convinced to even give you $1,000 or $5,000. You know, if you're someone who says, you know, my job is to make the film, now just fill this amount of money up, I don't think that works. So what worked in my case is that I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed responding to emails. We raised 51 lakh in 27 days in Feb 2012, and my blog had 40,000 visitors in that month, and I personally answered 800 emails. So it is that these people felt that they were talking to the director, they were talking to the guy who will eventually handle that money. So, you know, so that's the only way you build credibility to get that funds from there. And I didn't hire anyone to do this because I know that unless I'm talking to this person one-to-one, I wouldn't know what his intentions are also. You know, you can't follow certain protocol. Someone might just want to come and do this to as an ROI. Their first question is, if I'm giving you $10,000, how much will I make 20 by the end of the film? Will I make 30, 40? You know, there are people who come with this, and there's nothing wrong because they're giving you money to make a film that you eventually sell. So you need to know how to answer these questions.
Did you take the money with the intention of paying back the money?
Yeah, from the first thing that I started was that I don't want charity, I don't want support. You know, that was because I'm eventually making a commercial film which I'll sell. So there's no way why you should support me to do this film. So it was always that you give me the money to make this film, and once the film earns, then we give returns as also. But we gave returns in different forms. You know, like we have some capping on SEBI rules and those things. So we gave returns in terms of, we gave them distribution links which they use online, and they can earn money we give them rights to distribute the film online. So there are people who paid $2,500, and there's especially one guy who bought 50% distribution rights, which was available at $2,500, and he had to sell only 8. He had to sell the film to 8 friends to get his $2,500 back. He has sold 350 in last 3 weeks. So, and that's a lifelong distribution link. So you can imagine how much he can keep earning out of it. And the way he did it was as soon as he bought this, he bought the web link called luciawatchfilm.com. And he and his friend together set up a lot of SEOs and tags, and so much that when you put Lucia on Google, it's his website which pops up and not mine, you know, to watch the film. And he then, I think he was has a college community. He did a bit of work for it. It's not that 350 people just watched it on his website. So for everybody who paid $10, $5 has been going to him. So we gave rewards in these formats.
So, you know, that raises 2 more questions. The first one being, as a filmmaker, the whole idea of crowdfunding just sounds very, very taxing and very time consuming. You know, it basically means initially, traditionally speaking, you would have a financier, a producer, he'd come and put in the money, you'd make your film, you know, your film would release and you'd jump into the second. Over here, the whole pre-production and moving into the crowdfunding campaign of, you know, what you said, it's just so time consuming. I understand, you know, in a way it's great because you get to interact with people on a one-on-one basis, which never happens. Essentially, you're breaking down the 4th wall because you're now able to interact with audiences. But on the other hand, you're actually, it's a very time-consuming aspect for a filmmaker because one, do I consider my script and do I figure out how I'm going to shoot my film, or do I actually sit and interact with people and answer emails? So, you know, if you could, both of you actually, if you could just touch on that whole aspect of being able to interact with audiences like never before, and the fact that, you know, is it actually that time-consuming?
I think the audience today are very connected to the filmmaker. It's not like earlier days when they see a poster and say, oh, this movie is coming and this is the director. They know about your film as soon as you start making it. And with social media, and if you are in social media or on Twitter, they are following you. If they are your fans of your earlier work, then they are following your work. So it is not so time consuming if you have a body of work to show. If you're doing it for the first time, if the audience are not aware of your work, then it's going to take some time to build your audience because you have to start showing your work to them. When I say it doesn't mean that your first film can't be crowdfunded. It's just that first feature film can be crowdfunded, but maybe your first short film might not be crowdfunded. And in today's technology of digital and everything there on your laptop, it's just how creative are you. You know, you can shoot a film on this phone, and if you're creative enough, put it up on YouTube, and it can go viral, and that little film can get you all the money you want. So your approach initially has to tell the audience that this guy can create something without nothing. You know, he doesn't require, but he has enough creativity to do it. Then they really trust. So in my case, I gave myself 100 days to collect 50 lakh, and I was damn sure it won't work, because I had tried doing this when when I hadn't made any films in 2007, and I needed 10,000 rupees to make a short film. I couldn't get even 100 bucks at that point. So I had no faith in the system to try it after 7 years. But as soon as I put up the proposal, because this person in UK had seen my earlier film, immediately transferred 2.5 lakh to my account. You know, absolute stranger. And in 7 days, I had like 8 lakh. And over 27 days, this money came in full. And that's when we started filming. So I kept aside a month to just do this. And once the money was in, we took another 2 months to do pre-production and everything. But we knew that now we had enough money to do it. And also it gives you, you cannot complain, because this fund comes to you and you can make the film now the way you want it. You know, that's the little price that you have to pay to get that entire freedom to make the film. Because we then didn't have to be answerable to anyone. We just could take any time we want to make the film.
Filmmaking is not a very democratic process. I mean, you need to have someone leading it from the front. Having said that, filmmaking is also something that needs the filmmaker to be connected, to be able to kind of give something to the people for whom he's making whatever he's making or she's making. To be able to do that, he has to know those people. So it is absolutely not time consuming, I would imagine. See, unless you get into some kind of a chatter which is like useless chatter, and just go on talking about your stuff. But so you have to draw that line, but I think I have managed to draw that line, and I have been talking to a lot of people on social media, and I have also given out my mobile phone number, and I keep receiving calls from a lot of people who have spoken to me a lot, have not funded, or people who have actually gone ahead and funded some amount. And I have only found that this whole process is enriching for me as a filmmaker, not only for Cutthroat, but as a human being. Because I am directly talking to people and understanding them more, which is absolutely an impossibility if you're sitting alone and imagining things, and then you get your money, you call your people and you start shooting, and then you make something, and then if you're lucky you connect. If you're not, then you just have made something without any connection to the people for whom you're making, or for in the milieu that you exist, and those people also exist. So it also you are obviously not going to make one film, and you need that kind of a following. You need to understand some people and give them something that they want, so that they understand you, and it's like a bond that you form, and that kind of stays forever, because you'll be making a lot of film. You have a body of work to finish at the end of the day, and you need all these people to kind of like you, understand you, and it's any friendship, and if you know your friend, you're much more comfortable. So it's not that I become a great filmmaker because I am connected. It's not so, but the thing is that somewhere people kind of connect, and it's all about connecting, engaging, and then they end up evangelizing your ideas somewhere or the other. So that's a huge plus there in connecting on a crowdfunding platform.
What you did touch on is another thing that I want to talk about how crowdfunding is actually something that boosts the creative process. I think what Yogesh, Pawan, all us at some point during the conversation right now have said is that it's a great platform to be able to engage with audiences. Like I said, it breaks down the fourth wall. You're now able to interact with your audiences. Moving on from here, I want to get into the whole legality and the legal aspect of crowdfunding, because there's a lot of inhibition with regards to is it legal, is it not legal? What are the Pawan touched about the whole SEBI regulation.
Before you get into that, I also wanted to add, I don't know if that is a separate question that you might ask of crowdsourcing, if that's going to come up. But I would like to, for example, give an example in my case where some people, let's say, contributed, I don't even know them. And having done that, they are obviously, they'll get interested in your project. So they'll keep asking or keep figuring it out. Moving around, so their antennas go up on Cutthroat. It has already gone. Even if probably if you have someone has given just 500 rupees, his or her antennas have gone out on cutthroat. So they're constantly, you know, whenever there's a chatter on cutthroat, they're catching it and they're amplifying it. That's one. Two, I have received, you know, this is the plus of engaging or interacting or being available to your audience. Is this that I have come across people who have come to me saying that, sir, I was in my final year of MBA and I had done this particular song for my seniors as a farewell song. Would you like to hear it? Everything's digital these days. I said, yeah, please. So he sent me a link, which was a private link with a password somewhere. So I just played it. It was beautiful. I said, what are you doing? He said, sir, it's just lying. I made it like 2 years back and it's just there with me. I said, can I use it? I'll pay you money for this. He said, please. I mean, this is more than anything that I could ask for. So suddenly I have a song. So there is someone who is a sound engineer who said that I would want to work with you. There's someone who's a writer who's just gone on board. There's a songwriter who's gone on board. So there are suddenly a lot of people are coming forward and they are very creative and they are very interesting. And I wouldn't have known about these people if I had not interacted. So that's another plus of interacting with your audience. You never know who's good in what, and everything that comes together makes your product. It's so beautiful that it's your product, but people from outside come and make your product beautiful. So what more can you ask for?
Elaborate on what Sarthak said. I know I'm a business guy, but I'm just quoting a little bit of philosophy here. And that's what we also decided has to be the front in crowdfunding, is that all of us, or at least most of us, have dreams as we grow up. Someone wants to become a cricketer, someone wants to become a musician. Most of us, coming at least from India, are storytellers and we want to become filmmakers, or we want to act in films if we think that we are hot. Yeah? So that's where the dream stops, because after that you get into your 10th standard, you say, okay, no, I have to finish my 12th, get great marks, then I said, okay, engineering, doctor, MBA, whatever. So that's where the dream stops, but there is an underlying current running inside us, most of us. And I can say that because I've been teaching at a lot of MBA schools of media business, and whenever I ask them, what would you want to become? And nowadays, at least, most of them say that they're not necessarily looking for jobs. They want to do their own stuff, whether it is music, hotel, whatever. So at that phase is the point where you realize that you can be much beyond. And that's where Sarthak got to know a lot of these people who had the desire in them, but this ripple is causing that effect of them coming out of their shells and saying that, yes, now I can achieve what I always wanted to do, whether I wanted to become a filmmaker or a musician or a singer, dancer, whatever it is. And this is created by a simple person, whether it's a Sarthak or whether it's a Pawan. Even in his case, your musicians came from nowhere. I mean, he just started talking to people. Someone heard that he's making a movie and said, hey, listen, I have this song, would you like it? And this Hero Shiva was one of the most popular songs which was being trended. And that song has come from musicians who were not existing as musicians in the film industry. Sarthak's musician, again, the songwriter has come from, he's a alumni, MBA alumni, and he never thought that he can become a musician. So this is not just a funding platform, it's not just a thing which we are doing commercially, it's a revolution. And we are just at the beginning of the revolution. 5 years from now, or rather 1 or 2 years from now, you'll sit back and think, hey, we heard this thing and we are glad that we participated in it, because this has become a revolution. It is like earlier, if you look at the funding history in films, there were financiers, then there were only people who would be called banias who would finance the films, or who would give you a loan, debt, then the equity started, and now you are looking at co-production, which never existed. I mean, people never thought it could exist, but there was one gentleman, in 1976, he made this film called Manthan, and that's Mr. Shyam Benegal, who also happens to be one of the directors of this festival, that he made this film called Manthan with 5 lakh farmers contributing 2 rupees. At that time we called it Chanda, but now If you look back, we'll call it crowdfunding just because some American put it online and started renaming it as crowdfunding, right? So what I'm saying is these are old concepts. This is not something which is new. These are old philosophies which says that if I give today something to someone, it will come back to me. So if today you are supporting a filmmaker or a musician through crowdfunding, tomorrow you want to become a book writer or a dancer, someone else will support you. I think that's where this whole philosophy comes by before we get into the legal language. Sorry.
No, just crowdsourcing is another thing that I want to get into, towards the end of the conversation. But just coming back to the whole aspect of legality, and more primarily, Pawan, because you did it on your own, in Yogesh's case or in Sarthak's case, there is a whole team that is involved with ensuring that everything is taken care of legally, taxation-wise. How different or how difficult was it for you from a legal and from taxation point of view to carry forward the whole crowdfunding?
See, when I started, I did it very impulsively. So, and thanks to my family has about 3 lawyers, so I would I would keep talking to them, and I have a fair knowledge of how to draft a mail which looks very legally sound. I figured very soon that in crowdfunding, I think people don't fund your film because they want to make profits out of it. I mean, very rarely they give you, very rarely that kind of people come in, and even if they come in within the first or second talk with you, they'll think you're crazy and they'll leave. The ones who are looking for a ROI, if that's their primary display. It's mostly people who want you to make this film or make any art work to happen. So when they come in with an open mind. They say, you take this 1 lakh, and if it works, it works. If you do make money, share it. If it doesn't work, then let's try. That's how it started off. But I did put informal agreement because I didn't want to waste even 50,000 of that 50 lakh on a lawyer. So I sent saying that, look, I can't get a lawyer to draft this, but would be wasting that money. Instead, let's agree on these terms. So in my first crowdfunding, it was about 65 people who were there, roughly. And so we said, this is how I'll be doing the project. You can't ask me what the script is or what the schedule is or anything. And at the end of the film, and one of the things I stuck to it in the sense that we created a Google Excel document wherein every time we spent something, we would be logging the amount, and anybody in the 65 could check at any point, like where is the money going, so there'll be how much is left. And even now, as the theatrical revenues are coming in, even that is on a Google Drive, and people of the 67 people can log in and see where is the money. So we made sure that we stuck to the transparent mode. Having said that, to get this kind of a trust and mutual trust in crowdfunding, you need to spend time interacting with them. And if I found somebody who was not in the same page, then we didn't take money from them. But however, when I do the crowdfunding next time, we are going to stick to a little more of paperwork just to make it a little easier on the filmmaker. That's what I think at Filter Anybody does it. It makes it a little easy because I was not forcibly forced to write emails to these people. I enjoyed interacting with them, sharing problems or sharing successes. But I think if a legal document is there in the future, it's more easier.
One of the most important things that a platform does is that we take care of these legalities or things of the money that you raise on a platform. Now, if you raise 10 lakhs on a platform and get 2 crores from somewhere else and do something with that, we cannot be held responsible, but at least the 10 lakhs or 50 lakhs that is raised on a platform, we take care of it. Second thing I would like to tell you is that crowdfunding, the mere definition internationally, is funding for realization of a project because of passion for that project in the clear definition. Why am I saying this statement? Why am I making this statement? Is that in the US recently, about 2 months ago, there is a new act which has been passed called the Jobs Act, which allows filmmakers or any project owners to give equity, which means to give a stake to any funder in the project, online as well. And yet, most of the crowdfunding platforms are refusing that act because the whole principle and the whole spirit of crowdfunding is that you are giving the money to support the project, like he rightly said, because people want to see that project happen. Then after that, if you make them profits or something, if you want to share it with them, is separate. But on our platform, it is, we do not give any equity, and none of the platforms in India at least can give any equity online to a person who crowd funds. It is not allowed legally. Second thing I want to make it, as of now, we do not fall under SEBI regulations, okay? Because we are not a banking institution, we are not a chit fund, we are not any kind of the funds that people say, because there are a lot of people who come to us and say, oh, by the way, chit fund scam happened in Bengal and some other scam has happened somewhere. So how do you feel that you will not be, that's it. This is not a platform where we are promising any returns. All these other things, they are promising returns. Okay, they are promising clear returns. Ours is purely a contribution-based and reward-based platform, which is the international mode of functioning, and hence the regulatory norms are very relaxed.
This brings to a question in my mind that tomorrow when Pawan, you have to basically distribute once you're kind of done with your entire cycle. But when you have to give back, someone paid you $100, now you have made and you want to pay him $200. What is the taxation thing that you'll have to go through, or is there going to be some kind of a thing that?
I think in my case, especially for this project, it will all be, it's a very small number who have a bit of returns promise. So that will be considered as a loan. And when you return a loan with certain interest, you pay service tax on that. I mean, sorry, there's a 10% that you pay. So you pay that tax and then you give it back. But I would advise, if you are all anytime looking at crowdfunding, go through a platform and try to keep the equity bit very low, because, and keep the rewarding or the online distribution thing that we have started. So using that as a tool, and it makes it very easy to do the funds. And it's also, when you do an online distribution, the maximum that one could contribute was 5,000 bucks. Whereas when we took in the initial thing, the maximum one could do was 2.5 lakh. And also we got 1,200 people in the second round of crowdfunding, which was much lesser amount of money. In the first one, it was just about 60.
Also, what Pawan is saying is perfect, because most of the things that he has spoken about can be bundled under rewards, whether it is pre-selling, which internationally, if your movie is almost like 50-60% complete, there will be a sales agent or a distributor will come and say, okay, I'll pay you this much to finish your film, which is called a pre-sales in return for the territory, right? In India, yes, we have that in the bigger films, but in the smaller films, if you are looking at pre-selling it to your audience and say that, okay, hey, listen, if you give me 1,000 bucks, I will give you the DVD of the film once it's made with a special, let's say, sign off from the director. If you give me 10,000 bucks, I will have a small, I will invite you for the premiere and you will sit next to the movie star. So there will be about 100 people there. If you give me 50,000 bucks, great, I'll take my actors and come to your house and have a big launch party. You never know what you want to do. But the thing is, it's not the monetary value of the reward or monetary value of the return that is interesting to the contributor, because otherwise you would not be crowdfunding. What is important or what is interesting for the contributor is the emotional value. Okay, what does he value the most? Does he value him being wanting to see his name on the list of credits? Does he value himself being a part of the crew? Does he value himself sitting and having dinner or watching the premiere with his favorite star? What is it? So those kind of things matter most in terms of giving returns or rewards, because returns and rewards are, in terms of crowdfunding, are pretty much the same. They are not monetary. If it is monetary, then it goes into a different level of, like he has done it. He has done part equity and part non-equity. That goes into a different level altogether. So for people who are giving you 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, yes, of course you can give them returns. But then it becomes more like a co-production kind of a deal and not so much of a crowdfunding.
Just to recap, with regards to the taxation, what exactly are the taxes that are applicable on, say, a crowdfunding project? Because I know Satish and I, we had discussed this with regards to service tax and income tax, and a lot of things came up in the air. But I don't think there was any, at that point in time, any clarity.
From what I have figured, because now is the time we'll be starting to giving it out, other than the regular, when you make a transaction, when you're returning the money, there's a certain amount of tax that you have to pay. So that's all there is right now that we have to pay. There are actually, from what I've researched, there's absolutely no crowdfunding laws made yet. So other than these kind of taxes, I don't see anything else. But as I said, it would be one thing he said, no. There are two things that I think in crowdfunding that works. One is that your film has to reach out to a certain community which believes in the film that you're making. You know, in my case, what happened was I was making a Kannada film which was different from the other 150 films that were produced. So the audience who wanted desperately a different film to come out were the ones who believed in this sort of a film to be made. So there was only that community which actually brought in. It was not some random guy who didn't know Kannada or Kannada films who put in the money. And second one was, I don't think in Indian, because the way we are brought up or our society is, anybody will just give you 500 bucks and say, I'd like to see my name on screen. You know, so there has to be something else. That's what I figured in my online distribution tool, that yes, I need another round of funding to release my film theatrically, but I knew that I can't just take 1,500, 2,000, 5,000, whatever from you as charity. So we created this tool wherein I told you, we give you a unique link and you can use that and make profits as well if you want to. So we were from our end very clear that we are going to keep it for a lifetime and we'll help you earn that money back, because I want you to come back again to my next film. You know, I feel if you have crowdfunded once for 1,000 bucks, second time for another 2,000 bucks, the third time you will think, you know, why am I just giving money? No matter how much you have. So we created tools wherein you can earn it back, and many are actually earning it back. In a way, they also became people who are marketing my film. So we had 1,300 people who bought the distribution tool, and when the film hit the theater, these 1,300 people were sharing about the film on their Facebook. So it became that they were not only just trying to, you know, pass on their links, but they were, without knowing or knowingly, promoting the film, which showed in the theatrical business eventually. Because 1,300 people posting Facebook status is something you can't buy. You know, it's and also they're telling their friends, you know, watch this film, I've watched it, or I've been part of it. That's a big kind of marketing strategy.
So Yogesh, you were saying?
In terms of taxation, on a platform it is very simple. As rightly pointed out, we are not coming under any SEBI regulation. So what happens is, when the money comes to us, we are just a platform or just people who are holding that money for the 3 months that you are crowdfunding it and giving it to you. So we will be cutting 15%. So on that 15%, we pay the tax, income tax, service tax, and on the remaining 85%, which the money goes to you, that is treated as income to you. So you pay the tax as any income would come to you. So that is the simple rule of taxation that happens on any platform that you would be associated.
Okay, so before I open the, I'll come around, and if any of you have questions, you can always post questions to the panelists. So I'm just going to do this standing up. Coming back to the whole idea of crowdsourcing. With regards to crowdsourcing, when say someone comes in and says, Sarthak, Pawan, or Yogesh, this is the idea that I have. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you need a DOP? Do you need a music director? Do you need songs? I've made a song. That opens up an entire can of worms with regards to, I come and approach you and you don't like it, but there's no verification with regards to, did you actually use it? Did you not use it? So does it get into a very difficult space with regards to dealing with it?
I don't think it will happen, because I am constantly in touch with these guys who have approached, and if I have liked something, and see, for them it is not that they have funded because they have wanted to be a part of it, and if I'm not making them a part of it, they're going to really get upset about it. It's just that they have connected on an idea or on a passion, or for, in my case, this whole thing of post-graduation, last few years of college, and what happens in that scenario. It kind of resonates, it has resonated. Some people who are actually doing MBA right now, or people who have done MBA like 10 years back, are also, they're nostalgic about this whole thing, and they have come forward and, wow, this is something that we have not seen. So tell me, do you want a writer? Or, I have a song, you want to hear it? All that I'm doing is that investing a little bit of time and listening to that particular song. I might like it. If I say, hey, it's not so good, he would be more than happy that I have actually heard it. and he or she's going to be fine. That's my reading. And if there are gems scattered all around, and if you find something and use it, obviously you're going to tell them that I'm using it, and they're going to be happy. And these kind of things, gems are just lying there. They have not created this kind of stuff thinking that someday they'll monetize it. If it gets monetized, they're very happy. So the community builds, gets more robust, I think, in this particular fashion.
I think the audience who will contact you, they are very smart. You know, like we might think, oh, we have launched a crowdfunding campaign and 1,000 people will get cheated. No, the 1,000 people will not even compete. The ones who, I think one of the things that I found out was that your project will only attract like-minded people. You know, so your proposal will only call these people who want to be part of your work. And there is no, and once you have attracted such a person through your project, you are the kind of person who will be working with him, collaborating with him. You know, it's never that you will be taking the content and not working with him. In 1,300 people who contributed in my project, only 6 people I had to refund. Refund because I said I'll release the film online 3 weeks from the day of theatrical release, a note which they missed reading. And after the first day of release, they said, I haven't been able to see it online. I said, please read this thing. It says 3 weeks from the day of release. And then they went all hyper and we said, okay, please take your money back. So it was only 6 out of 1,300 people who made a mistake of not reading. Otherwise, the 297 were very happy with, 3 weeks delayed release, no problem, we'll wait for it. Because we know why you're releasing it delayed, because we were scared of online piracy. So I think anything, even talent in terms of crowdsourced talent in music or any other work, they will come to you because they have faith in you. That's the only reason they'll come to you.
See, life of a filmmaker, I don't know about others. I have had a very tough life. I shot my Great Indian Butterfly in 2003 and got it released in 2010. 7 years went where, I don't know. Every morning waking up and calling yourself a filmmaker, having done some kind of academics also and not doing a job by choice, and calling yourself a filmmaker and holding on with grit is a difficult thing, I think. But at the end of it, it pays, and it also kind of sobers you down. You start looking at life in a different light, and you are more understanding of human beings. And you, at the end of it, you have been kicked around. I have been kicked around for like 10 years, and at the end of it, I have no grudge against anyone. I suddenly understand everyone from where they came from. So that somewhere subliminally also helps me as a filmmaker or whatever I write. So pain, bad, there is nothing bitter. It's you are making a film that's as celestial as it can be. There's nothing bitter in it.
In terms of bitter experiences, I think that if you don't have bitter experiences, then you wouldn't know what sweet is, right? If you don't eat Karela, you wouldn't know what a laddu is. So I think it's all for the best.